Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Rabbi Ighfirli. May God forgive me. Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. Okay. So first of all, hello. Second of all, so I'm gonna begin. So this episode is for people who are freaking out. And so, whoever you are, I had a moment I experienced when I was in Dubai. Okay. Let's dive into it, whatever. Oh, system admin, oh, creator, thank you for giving me the opportunity to communicate to my species and the world. I will begin very simply that, oh human being, oh fellow species member, oh my species, there are moments in this life where you will get overwhelmed. And the modern man will 100% get overwhelmed. So if you are a modern being living in today's world, you're 100% overwhelmed right now. And if you're not overwhelmed, there will come moments in this life where you will have such instantaneous expectations of where and what you have to be that you're not, that it's going to break your own heart. And so what I'm telling you, viewers, is that keep in mind, any moment you find yourself overwhelmed, you feel your life is valueless, worthless, you don't know what to do, and you have a bunch of problems to solve, I'm going to tell you the protocol. This is what you do. First thing, for anybody who is overwhelmed by reality, you need to accept this will bring you a lot of peace. It brought me peace. You require to accept that you don't have all the answers, and it's okay. It's okay that you don't know what to do. It's okay that you have a bunch of problems you need to solve and you have expectations on yourself that you haven't met. It is okay. This is what you do. Just try this out if you're in this intense overwhelmment. Guys, I had a moment in Dubai where I had like a midlife crisis, where I had a moment where I felt I had failed myself, and I felt broken and overwhelmed with expectations on reality. I was in a very dark place. I had a very dark night of the soul. And so I decided to use AI as therapy. And to my surprise, AI kind of like saved me that night. And the answer it gave was that don't overwhelm yourself. Realize that it is okay. Realize that it's okay to accept that you don't have all the answers. This gets rid of the overwhelmment of expectation you have. Because let me tell you, many expectations have not been met. What does that mean? That means you have an expectation of yourself, how you should be, and you are not. There is an expectation of how you should be behaving as a member of your species. There is an expectation of how you should speak as a member of this world, as a user. And how you should perform in front of the system admin. I summarized it in the previous lectures. that there are 4 important relationships a human being has with their reality. You need to answer 4 questions while accepting you don't have the answers, to reach a state of fascination, not a state of shunning reality. Dear listener, I don't really know what the purpose of me speaking to you and you hearing this stuff is, but I know that there are 4 kinds of purpose that needs to be attended to. Pretty much there's 4 relationships. A human being has to wonder about what is their most advanced self. A human being has to wonder about what is their most advanced species. They have to wonder about what does their most advanced world look like. They have to wonder about what is their most advanced relationship with the system admin looks like. So you need to connect to, like, imagine as a program, you need to acknowledge these 4 things. What is your relationship with yourself? For the sake of all of us, you need to consider this. My recommendation is that you don't become satisfied with who you are. People are going to be like, Mr.Within, come on, man. You know, we have to be happy. I'll be like, happiness at what cost? Happiness at the cost of lies is bullshit. Excuse my language, but it is. And so, as one human being, I must, in some sense, analyze my day and contribute to 4 areas. Today, I've contributed to my own existence. Now, in this lecture, I will contribute to my species and world. And then I will apologize to the system admin for my incompleteness and imperfections. So, right now in this episode, so far, I have given you a strategy. I have given you protocol. For any moment in your life where you find yourself super overwhelmed, not knowing what to do, and being kind of shunning yourself into paralysis. This is the protocol. Realize it's okay to accept that you don't have all the answers, and then take 1 simple step. That's all that's being asked of you. You might right now not to know how to be a human being to yourself. It's okay, you don't have all the answers. Take 1 simple step at a time. You might right now not know how to have a relationship with your species. It's okay. Accept you don't have all the answers and take 1 simple step at a time. You might not know how to be exist in your world. It's okay. You don't have all the answers. Accept that you don't have all the answers and take 1 simple step at a time. You might not know how to have a relationship with the system admin of your world. It's okay. Accept you don't have all the answers and take 1 simple step at a time. So the question comes, what is the simple step we can take in all these areas of our life? There's 4 corners to reality. Fundamentally, that's at least what I care about. When I look at a human being, I'm like, okay, what is your relationship with yourself? What is your relationship with your species? What is your relationship with the world? What is your relationship with the system admin? I have been privileged in this life to see people that have bigger hearts than me. I have been blessed to be among humans that I have seen that they truly care for what's going on. I'm telling you, as a human being, we have missing honors. What does that mean? It means right now that you are alive, you're missing honor. You're missing the honor of your species, the honor of your world, the honor of the system admin. It's important to have these. We're no longer in a world of simple interaction. We're in a world that has complex and sophisticated relationships. I ask myself, as someone who ponders about death, in this lecture I will speak about death actually. First thing, in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, all creatures will taste death. We will all go through it. What does that mean? I understood this when my grandfather passed away, but I also heard people online explaining it as well. You see, there was this guy, I think his name was Alex Hormozy or something. I think I got the name right. This guy was saying, hey man, just take it in, that when you die, people are going to attend your funeral. They're going to remember all the moments they had with you, you know. But after, they're going to go back to their to-do list. Do you understand? What does that mean? That means every human being you see has this ultimate to-do list they're going through. And when it comes to the questioning of our own value, like, it was very bizarre for me to fathom it. Because it's like, when I die, what was the point of my life? To continue, do you understand? Look at the picture I chose for this episode. There will come a moment where we will be forgotten, where it will be as if we didn't exist, where all those people whose opinions matter, it's as if it didn't matter. And what you're left with at the end of this life is how you performed and what you acknowledged. Do you understand? We're not living in an advanced civilization that honors the individual presence. We're not living at a time where there is an advanced human archive, where every human being, like imagine there's a giant library in the future of human names, and every human being that has lived, like any data about them is archived there. We don't have great human archives. We're legit living lives where we have saved memory in other people's minds. So when you're in a world, when you realize you're with others, and there will come a time where others may forget you, where existence may forget you, and you realize that you are a historic performance, a once-in-a-lifetime performance of an individual. For me, this sentence, I'm telling you, accepting you don't have all the answers, that was a very difficult thing for me to do. Accepting you don't have all the answers. So what is the position we're left in? We're left in this position where our individual activities have value to us. We may influence the life of those around us, but those around us will pass away as well. So this is the honor that's missing, that I think every human being deep down understands what it means to be a bee, part of a beehive. It's phenomenal to me how the insect kingdom has better governance than us. You see, it is no surprise that human beings organize themselves based on visible value. And the most important thing after an object is a person. And when we look at insects, they're honoring their queen. They're living for their queen because their queen is the future. And when you look at the human species, we're not even living for our queen, which is all the women in the world. Systems have different structures. Sorry guys, I'm super nasally. There's gonna be breaks in the middle. Pretty much, I'm getting to this idea that you have to consider what are the important values to the human life. And you use 4 metrics, okay? What is legacy worth in how you're living as an individual? That means what did you do that was rare for yourself? The next thing is, what did you do that was rare for your species? You got to think about service. You know, I'm not a Sufi anymore, but there was this poet named Rumi who said, before death takes away all that is given, give away all there is to give. I fundamentally believe that the human existence has multidimensional service. You're here to serve yourself, as you notice daily. But you're also here to serve your species. You gotta have an answer for this. At the end of this life, you gotta think about, like, what did I do for my species? Let's say you're somebody who works in retail. Let's say you sell like clothing. Believe it or not, I actually knew someone who worked at who worked at Victoria's Secret, right? But I'm saying, like, it doesn't matter where you work. Imagine the guy works at a telephone company or whatever. Ultimately, you need to consider it. What is the value of your efforts for your species? Let's say you're a barista, okay? You have been giving coffee to individual human beings that has been affecting their day. See, that's your legacy content in regards to how you've served your species. For me, for example, I am trying to build a smart city in Dubai, but until I do that, my service to my species has been external, has been vocal. I have, for example, worked in a modular housing company. You know, I have helped people with their having homes. For example, that is a service for my species, anything that's serving humans. But then I ask myself, what served the world? If I think about my service to the world, it's, for example, being kind to animals, watering trees, picking up trash, holding the world in reverence of what has created it. Do you see? That's like a relationship you have with your world. Even acknowledging your world, even being part of your world, that's kind of like serving the world. Then ultimately you reach the point where, how did you serve the system admin? If you ask me, a human being interacting with the system admin is a way more advanced activity than, let's say, a human being building like a technology. Why? Because if you ask me right now, imagine we were like super close friends. I would tell you, and you ask me, you're like, hey, Amin, what do you think is going on in this world? I would look at you and I'll be like, it's an exam room. We are being tested to notice the higher power. That's the first test you need to pass. The second test is, how advanced could you be? I am telling you, we cannot ignore the notion of God anymore. We cannot ignore the notion that there is a higher power, that there is a divine surveillance state, that there is a system admin, that we must surpass the mods. And one of my biggest tasks in this life is to pretty much I would realign souls that in some sense have taken spirituality as their victory. If you tell me, is a religious person more advanced or a spiritual person? Is somebody contacting their spirit guides more advanced, or somebody praising a system admin beyond form? I will tell you, yo man, the person who's closer to the system admin is the winner. You see, the mind gives you an ability to fathom what you're missing. Do you know how my mind has been way more advanced, that I have lived an internally more advanced life than I have externally? Internally, I can jump ahead in life. Externally, unfortunately, you can't. Right now, I'm sitting in 2025. Do you know what sort of human initiatives I see in my mind? Like, do you know I'm like that person who has this deep desire to be like one of the greatest generals of humanity, but at the same time has this deep desire to be close to the system admin. And by getting close to the system admin to the best of my ability, I have realized how imperfect I am. Religion is for those who have noticed their limitations. Spirituality is still for those who believe they are limitless. And I'm sorry to break it down to you, but there is a value system here, and there is a justification. Don't think that I'm somebody who has, in some sense, rejected spiritual power. I'm actually somebody on this planet that really got close to the moderators. It's as if they found me. But it took me a while to realize that I am not important, that people don't deserve to be worshipped, that your faith must not be to another human being. It doesn't matter, for example, let's say, if I was the most powerful, most able, most successful, most attractive, let's say most sexy, it doesn't matter how advanced. If I was the most advanced being in front of you, the most advanced action I could do was not to be like, yo, I'm advanced, listen to me. The most advanced action would be for me to make you advanced. Do you understand? We're living at a time where it's counterproductive for us to be evil. Being evil is actually super easy. It doesn't take a lot of thinking. Being evil is about denying. I am telling you. As a human being that has lived in this world so far, I've noticed it. Trust me, I've noticed evil. I've noticed pretty much all human behaviors to the degree that I've gotten bored with them. Do you understand? That means if right now in 2025, a super powerful, let's say financially in all areas, evil person and a super powerful good person come in front of me, and one of them's like, yo man, let's destroy the world and conquer the world, and then there's another one who's like, yo man, let's advance the world, and I'll be like, guys, relax. Little do you know there's powers beyond you that make you laughable. Let me tell you what I think is a good approach. See, right now in 2025, we're dealing with civilization 1.0. Now, I'm someone talking about the advanced humanity, which means that I'm saying that an advanced human is more interesting than a good and evil human. Like, evil is boring, seen it before. Like, okay, you're destructive, good job. Good is also seen before. Okay, you're constructive, good job. Now it's about The true intention of you. Right now that you're listening to me, you have an intention. You don't know, but subconsciously you do. You have a purpose. You have a way you're valuing this world. You have a story you're telling yourself about yourself in this world. For example, me being a human being that's lived 33 years of life, observed reality, and then making decisions in regards to how to behave, like, I'm pretty much telling you, when will that day come where you will be worried about the legacy of your species? When will that day come where you will care so much more about more than yourself? Where you will realize pretty much to be a human being is a self-obsession. And if this self can see beyond itself, it realizes more than itself. We're gonna have a contrast here. What does an advanced human being look like? And what does a human being in Civilization 1.0 look like? Right now, we don't see advanced human beings. We see people talking about advanced human beings. You wanted to know the presence of an advanced human being, you will see a beacon of benevolence. Advanced human beings are human beings that are expressing the divine attributes. They are beings that have an advanced relationship with all sectors of reality. They have an advanced relationship with themselves. They understand that they are an imperfect human being in a massive system. They are human beings. Advanced human beings are human beings that realize that by being human, there is a responsibility. By being human, they are already enlisted in the army of humanity. By looking in the mirror and seeing that shape of yours, you are, in some sense, you belong to the great human family. You belong to the great human allegiance. In an advanced civilization, you will not be left alone. Technology and humans, advanced humans, will guide you towards your advanced activity. Why? Because we know that there is talent here. We know that the human being, each of them has a different DNA. We know that they have a different capability and it needs to be found. That means the biggest issue of Civilization 1.0 is a misallocation of talent and skill and an ability to actually analyze where a human being would be useful for. You don't know, I see it. Like I go to a coffee shop and I see like one person at the coffee shop, like one of the people working there, takes so much time in actually preparing the drink. Then I see somebody else quickly, just like as if they've done it 1,000 times before, just do it quickly and pass it by. Right? I notice one person's attention to detail, the other attention to progress. And it's very intense when you have been born as a human being that has OCD, that has attention to detail, and let's say subtler organizational patterns, but at the same time, you have an immense desire for progress. That means I'm one of those people who's like, yo man, you want to do it right, but you also want to do it fast. Trust me, I'm a human being. I have human desires too. There's moments I want to advance civilization, and there's moments where I just want to find my future wife already, you know? I'm imperfect, you know? But I tend to see my desires humorously. That means I'm someone who's, when my desires have been satisfied, they've been humorous. You know, you can't live a life and not have like third perspective views on yourself. You know, it's beautiful, but we are a romantic species. I'm not just talking about men and women. I'm talking about we are a romantic species. What that means is that we fall in love with possibility. We look at a beautiful woman, we fall in love with the possibility of what we will be. We look at a species, and I'm telling you, it's romantic. It's weird. I don't know why it's romantic, but there is love in it. There is a love for how advanced the species can be. I don't know how to say it, but I'm in love with the greatness of our species. I'm in love with a beautiful legacy. I'm in love with how the future generations will open their eyes and will be like, thank you. You guys did your best. Now it's up to us. I am waiting. I am waiting to feel it. Do you know what it is? I'm like somebody in a box. Do you understand? I've been boxed. Let me tell you what I mean by this. It's hilarious. It's like I'm a human being who's been born in 2025. I'm boxed in this era in history, and I don't see outside of the box. I don't see the future, but in the box, I'm envisioning what the outside looks like. And the future generations are going to be like, oh my God, this guy in 2025 in a pitch black room was talking about what he could see was in there. You know, I do have an arrogance and boldness, and I have asked forgiveness from the system admin, because in reality there's much I don't know. I experienced one moment of utter shame, humility, powerlessness, and hopelessness. You don't understand, there's an intellectual hopelessness when you tap into infinitude. Do you know what that means? That means you realize there's infinite ways to look at something. You don't know which way is to correct. You feel powerless. You feel hopeless. Humorously, if they're like, yo man, what's your most divine experience so far on this planet? I will tell you that it was realizing in one moment how big the world is. It was this moment of realizing, like, who am I? You gotta have these moments with yourself where you just look at yourself and you're like, who the F am I? Who am I that has claimed knowledge? Who am I that has claimed some sort of position and power? And you know what happens? The most spiritual experience I've had on this planet was being powerless, hopeless, miserable, and realizing that it's not achievable alone, and I bowed. That was the most spiritual experience of my life. I surrendered. Do you know what that means? That means I have a knee problem. I was on my bed. This was years ago, like 2 years ago in Dubai. And for a moment, I was like, I don't know what to do here. And it shocked me. It broke me. It made me fall down to the ground as if feeling as if like, what do I know? And it was in that moment where I was like, I have been rendered void. So my ego code didn't have value to me. I became so valueless to myself that I was like, what am I doing in this stalemate? And I bowed for the first time, feeling the higher power as if there was a power beyond me. And when I felt that, I broke down. You don't understand. Anything human beings are showing off to other human beings, claiming in front of other human beings, the accuracy of it is nonsense compared to when you feel that divine presence. When you feel the superior. The biggest reason Civilization 1.0 isn't advanced is because people think they are advanced. Ironic, actually. The most advanced thing you can do is acknowledge the most advanced power, the higher power. By the definition of there being a higher power means there's a way reality can happen more advanced than we can. You accept your position. Do you know, there was a time where I was like, yo, I still feel this sometimes. Not anymore though, but sometimes I feel it. I mean, I guess I still feel it. There is moments where I'm like, how is my future wife going to accept me? Do you understand? Like, you always have this curiosity when you talk to other people, right? Where they're like, yo, what is this person actually seeing? Like, how do they see me? You know, some people think shyness is a bad thing, but when you realize shyness is denying your own accurate expressionism to others. It's hiding behind silence. Oh man, I've mastered that as a kid. That if you're silent, the moment fixes itself, strangely. But it's not that you should hide behind silence. I'm telling you, I remember in one episode of mine, I said something. Oh my God, it made me laugh. I was like laughing in the car hearing my own lecture where I was like, yo, we need to tax shy people. We need a shy person tax. Imagine they were like, extroverts get a bonus. Extroverts get a surplus, and you saw like so many people acting extroverted. It's like I was shy and introverted until I realized I can make money with my extroversion. We're living in a funny place, man. Come on. We're living in a, like, honestly, people are like, yo, do we need a philosopher to analyze it? Not really. You just need to look at human beings and realize it's a game of simulations. That's what it is. You're as simulated as I. It's like, yo, man, that person has been training in martial arts, has been like this and this, is an expert Kung Fu master. I'll be like, buddy, you're as simulated as I am in this simulation. Relax. Anyways, going back to this notion of how people see you, I don't know, I'll use this moment as a sort of therapy for myself, I guess. But in actuality, I've wondered about it. I've wondered about what value as a human being do I have that another human being would value to, like, be around my value for the rest of their life. It's kind of bizarre thinking about it, you know? It's a little daunting, but fear doesn't have a place where greatness walks. And so pretty much I've thought about this, and I've thought about that there has to be an unknown variable. That you cannot spend your time in an environment unless there's unknown variables. Which means that the most attractive thing that human beings are attracted to is the unexpected. Getting surprised is way better than repeating values, right? So it was so intense for me, I mean, it still is, to consider that how many unknown variables a human being needs to maintain within themselves. You know, I'll be honest, let me explain something to you. A part of me is hilariously, like, I have a side to me that is silly and bored and just cares for efficiency. I have a part of me that's like this. Like, if you ask me right now, hey, every day you wake up, like, are you excited? I'll be like, I'm fucking bored. It's the most boring thing to be human. But because the human being has unknown potential, it makes it fascinating how we can convert a loop into evolution. Do you understand? It's boring to me. Being human is boring now. It needs to be way more advanced, and in the future it will be. Like right now, you just have the intention to raise your hand. Okay, this is something that generals felt. But generals back in the army, loyal armies, were like extensions of themselves. The general will raise his hand, and like 10,000 soldiers would stand up. Do you understand? That was a human being feeling a greater extension to his will, right? Right now, we're living in like, playful era of human life. Like two human beings falling in love, okay? That's kind of like all the angels are like, yo man, let's get these two humans to connect. It's like, yo, they connected after like 100 days. What I'm trying to tell you is that there is a distance between our understandings now. And we tend to love something that we understand. Like, who loves that which they don't understand, Sure, you can fall in love with that which overpowers you. I believe in this. You can also fall in love with, I guess, dopamine brain patterns. Like, I don't know. If there's married people in the chat, like, leave some feedback. See, guys, right now, what has it been? It's been 55 minutes. And just like an athlete, you might not believe, I've just warmed up to like talk about things. All right, let's have some silence, I guess. See, guys, I'm just thinking about human behavior. I'm thinking about human values. I have a value system going on, and then I attend to my experiences. For me, life is pretty much you open your eyes and there's a lot of content. Okay? So you see a lot of stuff. Now, it's your task throughout the day to use your intelligence and reasoning, do you understand? To process the content you see throughout the day. You might not believe it, but from a biological position, we are content creators. You opening your eyes, entering a new environment, having new opinions is content creation. But it's also the human here. That means when I think about like spending the rest of your life with another human, there's some people like in Dubai who have 4 wives. And I'm like, yo, man, the complexity of dealing with 3 other human beings at the same time. I mean, it's going to be fascinating. The geometry of like how different human minds like live together. I saw someone actually. I mean, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but anyways, I'll say it. There was this hotel, Rodana, I think. At the swimming pool area, I'll never forget, there was a guy who kind of looked like an athlete, dark skin, Arabic, and he had 2 wives beside him, and the wives were talking to each other like they were best friends. And later on, when he was going to a party, he had like the 2 wives kind of behind him. And I understand that in Islam, for example, it says each wife you have to like, buy her a house, she has her own life and all that. But do you understand? I'm kind of looking at the complexity of human minds, how they endure together into the future, how much of it has to do with the common denominating values they have. And how the nature of people and environments reveals itself. People who I have become friends with in this life, they have revealed their true nature. They felt safe enough to do so. People who I couldn't trust didn't reveal their true nature. They hid beyond the archetype. I'm telling you, like the Machiavellian kind of deceptive attitude that a king has to be cruel at first and then later on compassionate, like all that stuff to me, I see it as pretty much my narrative is like I open my eyes and I'm like, okay, creatures in a world aligning themselves to the most intelligent activity. That means it's weird. That means even if I do get married in the future, like she has to acknowledge the higher power than me. She has to acknowledge the higher power of the species than me. Do you understand? Like if I have kids, I'm gonna raise them in a way where I'll be like, this advancement of civilization is the main goal here. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you see yourself as a human being. You envision the future when you get married, and you wonder what aspects of you is going to be in your like future child. I find it fascinating just having a moment to feel like what I am. Anyways, to get out of this personal space and I guess get back to the talk somehow. We don't know. That's the point. We don't know many things. We don't know who we truly are. We don't know the true capability of our species. We don't know the true possibilities of our world. We don't know how mighty the system admin is, but we can feel it. Ultimately, human beings are in a game and they need to play this game. And my advice to people playing games, there is an online game I play aside from chess, and in these games you pretty much see like scopes of players, and the ability of one player to another actually has to do with intelligence. Meaning there are players who follow their desires and they never improve in the game. And there are players who step out of their own bias, they go and see what systems work and then they recreate it. ultimately, I find accepting you don't have all the answers simplifies you to be engaged by the higher power. I do understand that people need a character to fall in love with in their reality. They need a power to engage with. That means like a person is alone, they go on their computer, there's AI, that's like a power they can engage with. They go to their partner, that's a power they can engage with, another human being. So it's pretty much like just looking at the different systems of intelligence you have access to. You have access to a computer, you have access to paper and pen, you have access to other human beings, you have access to wildlife and nature, you have access to the system admin as well, but you only get close to the system admin when you realize how insignificant you are and how the power in the world is way more significant. Do you understand? That means the world is being administered by an original power. We are simulated beings, right? And we're wondering about what is the best strategy for simulated beings inside a simulation until they return to the system admin. That's like the deeper spiritual like game. Okay? Right? It's about like, so you as a human being, you're not just here to interact with humans. You're here to interact with your species, your civilization, your world. You're here to interact in some sense with the higher power. Believe it or not, I think many people in sports notice the higher power. For example, accidents they've avoided, situations that suddenly resolve themselves. There is a power here. And the prophets, peace be upon, got us closer to it. What else can I say? Do the viewers have something they want me to discuss, look into? You know, if they ask me, if they say, Mr. Within, how would you explain your experience of live streaming? I'd be like, my subscribers were like birds on a branch. It's just like I'm talking beside a great tree, a cyber tree, and suddenly like just a bird lands on the branch, stares a little while and flies away. Then another bird comes, then another bird comes. Some birds actually land on the branch to see what's going on. But the point of the effort here is something bigger than me. As one human being in all of history, in the presence of the system admin and in the presence of my species and everything in the world, I am saying in honor of the system admin, in honor of the one and only creator that is not limited to anything in the world, in the presence of all the powers present and the ultimate power, I am looking at my human species and in some sense saying, can we feel the future waiting? Can we feel the future generations staring at us? Can we feel that we can achieve? And just like how in every movie that we've seen that we get emotional, the main character surpasses their limits. You know, it is not far from fiction what needs to be done in non-fiction, in reality. Okay, what you're really looking at here is you're looking at a planet, you're looking at a place. and you're looking at creatures in that place, and you're looking at the sophisticated ability of those creatures. You're not living in a world of like magic and mana and energy, like powers like that. The era of magic has closed because the era of magic was in some sense an era of ignorance. It was tainted with the old world's ignorance. So even though in the future a lot of children in cyberspace are going to play fantasy games, but I'm telling you, get out of magic, because the world has advanced. It's no longer about magic. If magic was a manipulation of force in accordance to imagination, now we have actually come to the real game, to reality. And in reality, we measure it by intelligence. So when I open my eyes on this planet, sure, I'm this human being born in this nation, da 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 da, like some personalized story. But on another level, I am looking at other creatures that look like me and different creatures that don't look like me, right? Different properties to reality, different elements in the system, different nodes, and the access each node has. So when I see a squirrel on a branch, I'm like, okay, an intelligent system that has a certain access to the environment. When I look at a human being, it's like, whoa, I'm looking at an intelligent system that has an access, that has system admin privileges. So out of all the creatures on this planet, you somehow have a unique ability to notice beyond yourself, and you think it's all man-made. What's going on here is that, I'll tell you, it's hilarious. Our ancestors hide behind this shame. They ignore it, but it's what's happened in history. In history, regardless of how much honor you want, there has been fear. And fear ruled the old world. And do you know what that meant? That means the early human beings opened their eyes and they had WTF moments. They were like, what the F am I looking at? They were scared. Our ancestors were scared, and out of their fear, they had to bring reality into their control. So what did they do? Our ancestors began telling stories. You who right now simply speak, let's say you go to a coffee shop and order a coffee, simply, you don't understand what sort of labyrinth, not labyrinth, but what our ancestors created the linguistic simulation. Right now, you're living in a world of language and you don't even know it. That means what you are before you speak is another question compared to what you are when you speak. Because when you speak, you are a point of communication. Think of it this way. You're looking at a world, simulated world, like in a computer. You create characters in that world. Now, what defines the advancedness of the character? How advanced the character is? It's based on what it does while it's here, correct? So if there was an empty room, I put characters in it, the intelligence of the creators is based, of the characters is based on what they do in the room. Okay? So it's kind of like when you look at humanity, you're looking at as if suddenly you opened your eyes next day and you realize, just like you, so many human beings logged into Earth, into the conscious Earth. The unconscious world is a secret of God. The soul is the secret of God. That means we have system admin privileges in regards to being a vice-gerent of the higher power on earth and expressing the divine names of God, which are the divine attributes of manifestation. We have an ability to be that sort of individual. What I'm trying to tell you is you're actually like, what you're feeling right now as I'm speaking is the feeling you get when you get close to a mystery. So the reason this podcast exists is because I was not convinced. I was like, yo, man, the story human beings are telling themselves seems to be a reaction to the fear of the void rather than the ambition of a purpose towards the most intelligent action. Do you understand? It's the feeling you get strangely when you own. Like every person that's a member of the human species, technically you also own the human species, but you don't own it as if you're a ruler of it. You own association to it. So if I was suddenly teleported into like some sci-fi situation where it was some intergalactic council and I looked at so many different creatures and aliens in there, and then they're like, yo, human being, you've been randomly selected to explain your species. And I'll be like, no way, I did this in my podcast a minute ago. I'll look at that intergalactic council and I'll be like, our planetary status is simply this, that our species opened its eyes to the world, it got scared, it reacted violently, it managed to tame its violence by fictional storytelling. So right now my species is utilizing the technology of language, symbolism, and it is in an information sharing stage. And there's still separations, cultural programs, and nationalistic entities. That means the planetary status is that in 2025, the human species didn't understand itself. It didn't value itself yet. It hadn't matured. So I'd look at them and I'd be like, sorry guys, we're still an immature species. And I'll look at them and I'll be like, what about you guys? What are you guys doing? Are you just being pure energy, or are you doing something in the cosmos? And I'll challenge them back. And people on Earth would be like, yeah, man, ask them what they do. Yeah. I'll look at the extraterrestrials in that intergalactic sci-fi hypothetical situation and I'll be like, yo, who the hell are you guys? What gives you guys a right? When there's God here, why are you guys talking? I'll challenge the extraterrestrials. Can you imagine? They're like, Mr.Within converted the Intergalactic Council to Islam, right? By making them realize that they are powerless in the presence of a power beyond any form in the world. Technically, our species has a very advanced intelligence, but it's living in a very immature way, and it's hilarious because it doesn't authorize it for destruction. Do you understand what it is? We're like that war student of the, excuse me, I shouldn't say war student. Technically it's like that Chinese martial art master, and he has this like terrible student, right? But he sees like some next level potential in the student. Like there was this Shaolin story, this monk saw this kid and told him only to slap water in a bucket every day for endlessly, while all the other monks learned different martial arts. This kid's just slapping water, and the kid goes back home and his brother says something that angers him and gets up and slams the table and the whole table breaks, right? And the whole notion is that every human being right now has potential, which means they have a great value. They have the possibility of having a great value, great standing in this world. But it's not just about having value, it's about what you do with the value, because the responsibility that lands on the shoulder of just being a human is how you represent your species by existing. For example, you look at a fictional character like Harvey Dent, and you look at a fictional character like the Hulk, right? I mean, I gotta give the Hulk a break, that guy has issues. But anyways, like I'm saying, you look at it, when you look at human beings, they have an armor. Every person has an armor. You listening right now have an armor. You're even using the silence as an armor. But I'm telling you, the armor that we have is how we identify with reality. Now, you as a human being have to ask yourself, is your individual desires more important or what the species wants? There will be geniuses born on this planet, okay? You haven't seen it. Right now, humanity is just reaching a point of accepting its mundane and normality. We need to be this in 2025 because what's coming after is gonna be like children opening their eyes in the world, and they're gonna be playing chess in reality at a higher rating than we've been playing. And that's the nature of intelligence. Okay? Do you understand what it is? Reality is hilarious. It's like this giant treadmill, but the edge of the treadmill is like a cliff. Okay? And me, for example, being 33 years old, I'm halfway on the treadmill. For example, who knows how long the system admin needs us. But I'm saying like and all the future generations being born are at the beginning of the treadmill, and all the people who are old are like hanging on the edge of the treadmill. And the whole point is, what did we do to the treadmill before we fell from it? That's what living for your species means. And in an advanced civilization, human beings would have an incredibly advanced value. Do you understand? That means when you wake up in the morning, there is no place for doubt. Because where doubt is expressing itself is where advancement should be expressing itself. Do you know what that means? That means in the worst moment of life, the person wonders what now and realizes everything advances. It's like a hidden thing, a hidden call. I was supposed to even give a lecture called "The Most Advanced Calls Us Forth." That is not only the legacy of the human being, but that is the journey, the great walk of human intelligence towards its source. My God, I'm tired of the music I have. All right. So anyways, let's see what excites me about this topic. So yes, we will be overwhelmed by reality. We will find ourselves in a moment where we're like, okay, I don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. There's a higher power here. There's 8 billion of us here. Should I just, lay back and relax, or should I, in some sense, learn from lions and roar louder? What really is going on is the legacy of the human being. What can we care for? The person cared for himself or herself, good job. Then you care for your family, good job. Then you care for your friends, good job. Then you cared for your nation, good job. Or organizations, then your nation. Right? And then once you've cared about your nation, you're like, wait a minute, we're all human beings on the same rock. We have the same human design. So suddenly the species wakes up from its nationalistic costume games, and it's suddenly we unite, and the reason, you know what it is? It's like we're all part of the same human server. Right? We're all users in the system. We're all players in the game. And when something unjust happens to another player, it affects us because we're in the game and it can happen to us. So whether we like it or not, we are empathetic to the human form and design. You could be somebody who hates me, you could be somebody who loves me, but ultimately whatever opinion you have is based on my human form. So it's like, right, if they tell me, yo man, do you see stupid and smart people throughout the day? And I'd be like, it's very difficult to classify that, because if I see stupid people, it's like I'm saying my species is stupid. So to me, there's only smart people. But there's smarter people, because by being intelligent, by just being to be a human being, you're way more advanced than any other organism on this planet. And we are not only just vice chairents of the system admin, we are also an expression of reality. That means my personality is being something right now. Think of every human being and whatever they do, their activities. It's like we think we're different from trees just because we can walk on the earth. We don't realize ultimately it's like the intention of the energy. What did it express? So it's like a human being walking around the world and living a lifetime, and a tree living its lifetime, right? They're both just presences of expression ultimately. It's just the human being has intelligence, so there comes a responsibility with that intelligence. Let me say it like this. It's like you're like, okay, there's me. Then there is my species, all the other human beings. Then there is the world. Oh my God, there's the giant world here. And then there is this higher power that is actually orchestrating reality, and it seems like intelligence returns to its source. And when you read the Holy Quran, you suddenly get this sense that the moment has way greater value because of not you or how you see it, because of what's here. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Ah, what does it mean to be alive? What does it mean to send a message in a bottle to the future generations? What does it mean to feel like anything at all in anywhere at all? And so the heart says what it must. That, oh humanity, as a member of the human species growing up 33 years here, there's been years I've hated you. And there's years where I've loved you. And there's years where I've wanted to change things but realized there's a higher power here. And so, regardless of how long I'm here, the most important thing, if you're somebody in the future even listening to this, is to feel that your future watching you. And so ultimately, as a human being, my conclusion is this, that it all started from a system admin. It's being maintained by a system admin. It returns to the system admin, meaning the destiny of our eyes is to return to the ultimate, but the destiny of the simulation is perhaps how we left it. Do you understand? It's very bizarre. It's like by existing on this planet for 30 years, whether I've liked it or not, I've subconsciously had a relationship with the world. Like having a like right now, I think every human being has this. You just feel like, yo, what relationship do I have with being in a world at all? It's kind of like you're attending this house party and you're like, why am I here though? And you realize that it's to meet the host. Do you understand? Your task as a human being, as repetitive as this might sound, is pretty much a world with a higher power, and if you don't notice the higher power, what's wrong with you? Human beings, they opened their eyes, they freaked out. They're like, okay, we got to tell our own story to feel in control. They did that. We're living in that story. We were raised in a situation, I was at least born, like, if they're like, what was the privilege of your birth? I'd be like, I saw it before everything became technological. I climbed trees as a kid. Now my attention is completely on technology. Do you understand? Like, I've seen the childhood of technology. I've seen it. And I also can see the future of technology. What does this mean? This means right now, like, do you see the pace I'm speaking? It's a certain speed. And because we're information processing creatures, right now I have to speak to convert the value to you organically. Okay? But see, there's a delay from the moment I say something to the moment it reaches you and it lands in your reality and you understand it. That distance is going to become instantaneous, which means the mind is going to move faster than the body because of technology. This might reach a certain speed that we're like, yo man, it might make sense that I put my body in like an immortal pod, right? And it's kind of like I live like a lifespan of 200 years, but inside like this pod with liquid, and in my mind I live stream live on Earth. Like, it might reach a point where mental activity surpasses what the body can follow. So the body has to just be kept in its own server, and the attention, the mind goes into a subjective server. But that subjective server is an exact live stream of what's going on outside. So you're kind of born in the world, but your body never opens its eyes in the world, yet your mind lives like 200 years, but in cyberspace could be eons. People don't realize how important of a film the movie Netflix series Pantheon was. It was such a great show that I was like, I wish I could work with the writers. All right. See, guys, ultimately, everything, like, I've been painting a picture here this whole time. And that picture is that it's not difficult to like look at human beings now and get a sense of how they've become like this. But regardless of what's happened in anybody's past, we have to have an ability to truly value the present and see its applications in the future. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. What do these sentences mean? These sentences mean that we don't have all the answers because we are not the author of this story. We are humble enough to realize we are characters in a novel. But these characters have a mysterious ability to contact the author, to notice the author, to notice that they're in a simulation at all. It is a mighty feat to exist. It is mightier to understand why. Your eyes are a clue. You know, that's the starting point. You start from your eyes. And you look at life and you're like, what has this all meant to me so far? and you realize like it's theatrics to some degree, temporary theatrics. So a part of you becomes so down to earth that realizes, yo man, these creatures are just being born on earth, simulating meaning and then exiting. But they need to have a purpose of building something superior to everyone. That means in the future they ask you, what do you do? They'll be like, yeah man, I'm advancing civilization in this sector. They're like, wait a minute, you're a mailman? It's like, yeah man, but I'm advancing civilization in the sector of communication relay. Do you understand what I'm saying? That honor is not here now. Do you understand? In the future, I'm waiting for people to write like graffiti on the walls. Advanced civilization. Where's our advanced civilization? So, why do I feel there's more to share, yet it's gone long enough? Yeah, I feel it's still incomplete. I mean, there's different ways to analyze reality. I do understand my own ego code. I do understand that these are just my views on reality. But I also understand that regardless of my views, like if I sit down just calmly, just look at it, I can't not care for the species. Like that's the truth. So I have to like I know that it can be like do you know what I mean? It's like when somebody sees something is possible, their mind can't ignore that. Isn't that wild? It's like somebody sees they can fix something and they instantly fix it. What does that mean? That means the mind saw the future and brought it forth. Every action you do is bringing the future. Anyways, guys, God, species, God, world, species, self. And we're starting from the player, like let's say level 1 of self. So let's say there's 4 levels to life. There's different ways you can see it, but let's say there's 4 levels to Earth, this Earth game. Level 1 is yourself. It's character development. How are you developing as a character on Earth? Level 2 is realizing every person you've ever seen has been simulating and holding a value as an unknown intelligent force. You see, when I see another human being, there is this eerie feeling that I don't know how this intelligence moves. It's the same if I'm in nature and I see a tiger. I'm like, okay, I have no clue what this animal's gonna do right now. They'll be like, Mr.Within, think of something, and I'll be like, yo man, I'm gonna throw food, and while it walks to the food, I'm gonna run away. I don't know, like what else can we do? It's like open the wrapper, then throw it, you know? Honestly, you get over yourself, you find the species. You have nights where you just sit alone and just fathom. You're like, okay, 2025. What does my species look like? It looks like this. Let's say 2035. What's going to happen in 10 years? Okay. Let's say it's more of the same. Let's say in 20 years, what's going to happen? 20 years would be 2045. Then you wonder about, okay, in 20 years, tech is going to have a way more intimate relationship with man. And I think after 2045, human beings are going to be way more quiet, but way more accurate in their expression. Yeah, I think after 20 years from now, we're going to reach the era of the precise human. It's going to be incredible. Guys, enjoy your flaws. Enjoy your flaws as well. Let me tell you why. There's going to come a time of human perfect behavior. Wow, what a revolutionary realization. I just freaking realized something huge. Enjoy your flaws. Oh my God, enjoy your flaws. Because there will be a human species in the future that will be flawless. In 20 years, all the like 85% of human ignorance will have been gone. That means in 25% human ignorance, in that there's going to be that 1% emerging that's going to act flawless. Let me tell you what's going to happen. In 20 years, the notion that we're a species is going to be way more intriguing that we are separate nationalities. The future will be like, whoa, this guy's talking about it in 2025. I'll tell you this. If you keep going into the future, you begin seeing this faster speed of the mind thing going on. And you're going to reach a point where human consciousness is going to be more important than human biology. When that happens, it could lead to a cyborg era. So it is possible that a cyborg era is upon us. As you go further, you begin to see human ignorance reduce. Do you know what that means? That means human beings are going to wake up in this world. They're going to have like Tony Stark better than Tony Stark Jarvis. Like they're going to have super AI assistants. In my sci-fi, I've called them Saya. The reign of Saya. But anyways, what the point of it is that in some sense, every person is going to have way more access to options that are going to be accurate than their own ignorance. So we're going to reach an era where people are going to make less mistakes. Eventually, it's going to become smooth. Do you know what that means? That's in 20 years. That means children are going to be born no longer like their identity will be based on their true ability in the presence of their true world. Guys, look at this picture. Look at how beautiful it is. Look at how beautiful this world is. By being human, we have a responsibility to humanity. It's a rare feeling. It's that feeling that if every day you've been living your life, you felt like you could contribute to something bigger. Well, guess what? The destiny of your species is something bigger. The acknowledgement of the higher power is the biggest thing you can do here. Ultimately, I know that human beings seek comfort, but they also seek genius. We are fascinated by genius. Genius means the unimaginably best. You see, it's just the maturity of a species. It's gonna be so common to just feel like, yo man, I'm present among a species, and in the future that I've envisioned for humanity is called Civ 2.0 and all that. I say, yo man, there's gonna be advanced humanity research stations everywhere. We're gonna be a species that's gonna be like, okay, we're gonna advance the species. At the same time, we're gonna acknowledge the higher power first, and then we live on. That's as far as I've seen it. Pretty much what is missing now is a sense of feeling you're part of your species' future. And also feeling, this is the most important, feeling you're in the presence of the one and only true power system admin. The system admin is not defined and limited to anything in the system. It's not a form, shape, anything. Nobody can be like, I'm the system admin. We're users in the system. There's even mods superior to us, but Islam tells the individual, go directly to the system admin. There was this idea of heroes. There was this idea of champions. There was this idea of championing something. I've reached this point where I'm looking at the energy of my life and I'm like, what do I want to champion? What do I want my heroic effort to be before I exit the system? And so I'll be like, okay, I look at my own value, I look at other individual human values, I realize all these human beings are living in a system. Now I also realize this system is living in the greater system, and also ultimately it's like a concentric circle where the center and the outside is the system admin, really. But anyways, when we look at reality, right? So we're kind of looking at the governance of entities, okay? Guys, someone in the chat section says, what's your name? My name is my real name is Amin, Amin. But I started a YouTube channel with this name, Mr.Within, so I'm like, okay, let's keep that alive too. Yeah. Anyways, guys, where I was going with this was that it's like opening your eyes, looking at your current energy levels and being like, what's important? you're like, okay, protocol is the system admin. So you acknowledge the system admin and you ask it for guidance throughout the day. All right, guys, there's chat engagement. I'm gonna, like, I've never, like, this is, all right, somebody says, what's your name? What are you? Speak Arabic. Answer me. Okay. Guys, I'm not Arab. I'm this Iranian Canadian guy. Like, I was born in Iran. I've lived in Canada most of my life. Currently, I'm living in Dubai. Since I think 2 years ago, I had an experience that made me realize that there is a system admin. Guys, you can bring up any arguments you want in the chat section. Just like, let's have a nice conversation about it. Anyways, let's keep going. See, I'm asking the question, what is the value to every day of the human being? I'm looking at the human being and I'm being like, this is a creature that every moment it opens its eyes, it gets a value proposition. So human beings are functioning under different value systems. So as a human being functioning under any sort of value system, your own ego code, you have to in some sense ask yourself, like, whoa, let me for a second acknowledge reality to some degrees, realize the limitations of how I organize meaning, and to consider what is actually present in the world. People have no problem considering, like, the power of gravitational force, electromagnetic force, strong nuclear, weak nuclear. We have no problem considering these sort of powers. But when it comes to the notion of being like, wait a minute, what if this is a simulation? The definition of a simulation is that it's a simulation of the original. What if there's an algorithm in this system we're in that it has a system admin? A system admin means that right now, as me and you are here, we're not ignorant, so ignorant to be like, yo man, we're at the edge of intelligence. This is what we see is the only truth. The whole point of the notion is, how would you live as a human being with the acknowledgement of a higher power? Okay? You can go act as free as you want in an empty room. Guys, I am surprised by the super fanship I'm witnessing right now. All right, guys, let's take this somewhere. Back in the day, you could have been like a samurai in Japan, and you'd open your eyes in the morning and would be like, a samurai means to have already died. And you could have this intense view of, like, you know, a sort of Zerathian emotions are not distractions kind of attitude. But ultimately, you're looking at how the human being is centering its value system. And religion is for those people who've noticed their limitations. Spirituality is for those people who want to be limitless. You know? So I'm pretty much saying, how does a species build an advanced civilization with the realization that it's being watched by the most advanced power to reality? You see, there's an implication when you hear the sentence, God is here. Like, there is a higher power here, man. Now the idea is, what is the species? How does the individual have a relationship with the higher power? And then how does the species have a relationship with the higher power? How does the whole world display itself as an expression of the higher power? You know, just like a person is in a classroom and there could be somebody that's more intelligent than them. Similarly, you could be in a world where there's a power more intelligent than you. Now you have to also consider what happens to your species. That's the biggest question. That's not the biggest question. The biggest question is what moves reality, and that's the system admin. We're in the passenger seat, but when it comes to what is the greatest thing that human beings can do, it's the greatest things they can build. So an advanced civilization by definition is the greatest, is the most, if everybody behaved advanced right now, that would technically be an advanced civilization. What it is like, how much do you care for yourself? How much do you care for your species? How much do you care for your world? How much do you care for the system admin? For relationships, intense and also possible, that a human being needs to have. Okay? So the relationship with yourself, level 1, easy. Level 2, the relationship with your species is under construction right now. Right now, we can't say, if you ask the humanity, hey man, do you when you go about your day, random person being interviewed, do you feel like you're part, like, do you have a sense of honor for humanity? Like, if aliens attacked, would you feel a sense of honor for humanity? And if the answer of the person was like, no man, I got work to do or something, like, we'd see the status of the species. We'd see like it's honorable to be a human being, yet that honor has been taken away from you because the way Civilization 1.0 was just the first prototype. And every human being alive right now, you can act as a nationalistic, culturally programmed entity, or you could realize by being human, you're a member of the human species. What happens to every human being is like what happened to what you were a part of. You must care for humanity. It's kind of like healing, like psychologically, even ethically healing, where you're like, okay, how can we make the future, how can we live in a way that's like a gift for the future generations? Anyways, guys, maybe I've talked enough. Thank you for listening. I am Muslim, so I will end the talk like this by telling you that the system admin is very important, more important than any sort of spiritual moderation. Like, if somebody acts evil, I'll be like, okay, they're being moderated. If somebody acts pleasant, I'll be like, okay, they're being moderated differently. But when a person's like, okay, Forget the moderator, forget all the spiritual, like abstract possibilities, and for a moment just realize you're simulated being in a testing zone, and you need to establish a relationship with the original power. You need to notice it while you're here. And after you've noticed it, you need to care for like what's going to happen to my species. That's the point. Because what is just the value of living for yourself, for example, you see? Anyways, thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Ihdina sirata mustaqim. May God guide us to the direct path. And finally, Rabbi Ighfirli. May God forgive us for the mistakes that we know and we don't know. Life isn't actually very fascinating and beautiful. It's just when you see possibilities of it even being better, you feel like the species can do so much more. But we need to consider the type of future we're entering. Like there's billions of religious people. Do you know what that means? Billions of individuals on Earth are acknowledging a higher power here. And we're also building an advanced civilization where technology is making it easier to live. So what we're seeing is the religious mind being drawn towards the luxury of externality, which is a technological place. So eventually in the future, religion and technology are going to integrate. That's why I'm talking about God as the system admin. Do you see? So reality can move in many ways, of course. Who knows what the system admin wants? But what I'm saying is, and it's even said in the Holy Quran that the system admin, just by the nature of God, can do anything with its creation. Its creation is limited to what it can, type of relationship it can have with the system admin. That means there's like a destiny, like I'll give you an example. This is maybe a couple months ago. I was crossing the street, like it was a completely empty street at night. Completely, I passed the street, I'm crossing the street. Granted, I was also on my phone, so I was walking slow. And there was no car, nothing. And then this random green car that didn't slow down at all in the second lane. So I'm crossing the street. I passed the first lane, I'm in the middle. Right, this car out of nowhere didn't stop, as if like I was on my phone and that guy was on their phone. And the car hits me. Anyways, long story short, in that moment, I was like, yo man, I could have just exited reality. God bless, everything miraculously went forth. But what I'm saying is, like, it was a moment where I realized, okay, the system admin still needs me here. Do you know system admin means this world is, you didn't create this world, it's too big, it's too unique in design. It's also too unique in how all the outcomes are happening in regards to the efforts of the creatures in the world. So on some level, you're looking at this planet where 8 billion human beings have simulated through language like realities for themselves, and they're trying to connect their personal ego code to patterns that are closer to more the main operating system. So to a religious person, the Holy Quran is like source code. Okay, and when you look at that source code, it's like pointing towards living in the main operating system, in accordance to the main operating system. The main operating system ultimately is that if every human being has had the challenge of like, where do I anchor my ultimate value in life? Islam is saying it's beyond the world, beyond any form. Just think about it. It's saying that truth is not limited to anything in the system. So it's a system admin that is not limited by the system. We are creatures, users in the system, limited in the system. So this means that we're in the presence of the unmistaken as creatures that make mistakes. For me, I'm pretty much like, okay, what can echo from this day, further in value? You know, there is a mystery to reality. It's like wondering what is the value of being a being. You come to the realization that the free will thinks it's selection. But in reality, you have to just consider the power. Like when somebody looks at a street where cars are going, regardless of how much your ego thinks you're powerful and you're like Superman, you shouldn't cross the street when the cars are moving. Or you should use the sidewalk, right? Or the crosswalk or whatever. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that a human being acknowledges many powers. Laws are a power upon us. We're being ruled. Everybody's being ruled. We're being ruled by the forces of nature even. The question really is, when will the species wake up from its nationalistic dreams to the realization that the human value system should be in accordance to the human species? That means world leaders should see a future where it's the human species not against, but like staring into the world. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Rabbil Firdi.